guys, it's Vicky, and today I'm here to share with you all the books that I've read in the month of August. August was a pretty productive reading month. I read, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things. So that's pretty good. There are a few in this stack that I won't be really covering at great length in this video because I already did in other places, and I will mention those when I get to them. But yeah, let's get into the wrap-up. So the first book that I completed in August was one that I started on audio in July and completed in August, and that is Cast: The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson. And this is a nonfiction book that basically explores what Isabel Wilkerson does in this book is kind of explores how in America our kind of social system is similar to a caste system, like what you see in India and what you saw in history in Nazi Germany. And what it basically is that people are kind of, there's like a hierarchy depending on physical features, what you look like. And it was interesting because I never thought about it like that. I didn't really know anything about caste systems going into this book, and so I did learn a lot about that. And so there's a lot of history in this book, there's a lot of anecdotes, and it's very informative, very well researched. Was a little bit dense at times, where I think the audiobook definitely was the way to go with this one. I don't know if physically reading it it would have sunk in as much. But she did make a lot of interesting points. She did talk a lot about a lot of interesting things throughout history. And basically, yeah, it kind of explains why, even though, you know, the Civil War was so long ago, and even Jim Crow was a while ago also, those things, even though there has been a lot of years between today and those times, there are still issues that persist in our society from that time period. And it kind of explores the generational trauma that many Black Americans experience. So it was a very informative book. Definitely one I would recommend if the subject interests you. I definitely want to read her other works now because I did enjoy, like I said, her kind of research style, her writing style. It was very interesting. Yeah, and I enjoyed it, so it was a 4-star read for me. So the next 2 books that I completed in August were actually books that were 5-star predictions, and I already wrapped up for you guys in my 5-star prediction wrap up, so I'm not going to repeat myself here. But I did read Hollow Kingdom by Kira Jane Buxton. This was a 4-star read. And then the other one was The Final Revival of Opal and Nev, and this one was also 4 stars. So these were both quite enjoyable, but I, again, am not going to repeat myself and talk about them. So if you want my full thoughts on these, go check out my 5-star prediction wrap-up. So then the next couple books that I read in August were ones that I did for a reading vlog, where I basically did the Namesake challenge, which was that I read books that all were written by authors with the first name Victoria. The same name as me. So the 3 books that I read were Roller Girl by Victoria Jameson, City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab, and Jane Doe by Victoria Helen Stone. That one I listened to on audio. And again, I wrapped these up in that vlog. So if you want to see my deep thoughts on those, go check out that vlog. But basically, I enjoyed all 3 books. Jane Doe was a 3-star read for me overall, and then both Roller Girl and City of Ghosts were 4-star reads. Very enjoyable. I had a good time. My Victorias did not disappoint me. And it's definitely a challenge I would consider doing again in the future. So yeah, like once again, if you want my full thoughts on those books, go check out that reading vlog. Then the next book that I read in August was one that I have been reading for like 3 months, I think. It was a lot. It was a lot. That book is 9 of Swords by Brooklyn Quintana. This was sent to me for review, and it is the first book in a series. I'm not sure how many books are supposed to be in the series, but this is the first book. It was a long book, 760 pages. And it is about a young man named Finn who is of a royal family line. But he goes to this military school called Morency, which is basically where people go to learn how to be part of like the King's Guard, or to be, you know, a soldier, basically to be a part of the military. And he goes there, and it's basically about his experience at this school, and the friends he makes, and some of the kind of adventures he goes on. And there's also kind of this interesting thing about him. He kind of has an interesting little quirk that I won't say what it is because it's kind of spoilery. It's kind of interesting to find out what that quirk is. And so yeah, this book was pitched to me as kind of like Harry Potter meets Game of Thrones. And I decided to take it on because to me the Harry Potter element was what kind of like, ooh, because I've read the Game of Thrones books as well and enjoyed them, but this was interested me more because of the whole like kind of magical element, going to a school and there's magic involved, because the Morency school or academy is on an island where there are some magical things going on. There's magical creatures like mermaids. There's these other kind of creatures that live in the jungle because it's on an island, so it's a more of a jungle setting, which was interesting. Yeah, and like I said, Finn as a character has something kind of magical, if you could say that, about him, that makes it a little bit magical as well. But it definitely, even though it had a little bit of that, it didn't really have enough of that for me and for what I was expecting. Because again, I was expecting like Harry Potter, which is just chock full of magic stuff, and the world building obviously in Harry Potter is top notch. In this, it just seemed like it was long. It's a 750 page book. It definitely felt like a 750 page book. I honestly think that this could have used some editing because I just felt like it spent a lot of time meandering. In fact, Finn didn't even get to the school until I want to say like 200 pages in, maybe. It took a long time for him to even get to the school, and I was kind of like, what can we get the ball rolling here? And then the kind of overarching story that I'm assuming is going to be the overarching story for the series just did not grab my attention and just did not interest me. And as Finn is at this school, there are like instances where they have like little tests they have to do and stuff, that those were enjoyable, but everything in between, I was bored, to be honest. I was. And I think that I'm not blaming the book. I think that for me, my expectations were just off, and I am not a huge fantasy reader, as you guys know. So I think that maybe this book just wasn't for me to begin with. And so I don't necessarily blame the book. I think it just isn't something I would normally pick up, and I wanted it to be something that it just isn't. And I just feel like also some of the, if you're looking at kind of like themes and motifs and stuff in the book, I just wasn't jiving with them. Like, for example, like a lot of, like any time that there was a conflict in this book between two people, either a child or in one case, even two grown adults, it literally goes to blows. Like they're literally fist fighting and like breaking each other's noses and stuff. And I'm just like, can we not fight? Can we stop? Like it got old. Like I got to the point where it was like, why are we fighting like this? Is that how we need to solve things, really? Is by getting violent with each other? And then there, like I said, there's something that happens with Finn in the book that happens quite a few times, that by the like fourth time it happened in the book, I was like, okay, we're doing this again, because we already did this. Like I'm kind of bored with this. So I really feel bad giving this a 2-star rating, but it's a 2-star rating for me. It just didn't grab me like I wanted it to. And there were just, yeah, things about the plot that just were not interesting to me. I wasn't really connected to any of the characters. The overarching story to me is just not very interesting either. So yeah, this was not my favorite. So yeah, I would say though, if you do read a lot of fantasy, and especially things like having to do with like militaristic type stuff, you might like this. It just wasn't what I wanted, and I didn't really like it. So this was a 2-star read. Then I read a book by an author that I've read in the past and have enjoyed. And it was kind of an anticipated thriller, and I was nervous going in because the reviews for this have been meh for the most part, and that is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. So like I said, I've read all of Riley Sager's books, and they have all been 4 stars other than, oh, what was that one? The Last Time I Lied. I think that was the one about the camp, the summer camp or something. Yeah. His last book, Home Before Dark, was my favorite. And it was a 4-star read. So, I mean, I was looking forward to this one because the past few years, I've looked forward to reading a Riley Sager book every summer. And this one deals with a young woman named Charlie who is going to college. She's a film student, I believe, or film theory or something like that. So she's a big movie buff. And a couple months prior to the start of the book, her best friend and roommate is murdered by a serial killer who is called oh my gosh, what was he called? The Campus Killer, wow. And so she's having a hard time with that loss and decides to leave school. And so it takes place in 1991, which is kind of important because I think if this book took place in 2021, none of this would have happened. It just would not have worked with like the age of technology right now. This just would have never happened. But anyways, because it takes place in 1991, she goes to this ride board, which I guess was pretty common in college, you know, on university campuses at the time, where you could basically like hitch a ride with somebody who was kind of like going home at the same time and maybe going the same way as you, and you guys could share gas money or share the driving or whatever. So that's what Charlie does. And she gets a ride from this guy, Josh. And they are on a 6-hour drive from New Jersey to Ohio, and pretty early in the trip, Charlie starts to suspect that Josh is dangerous and may even be the campus killer. Okay, so like I said, this book has gotten some interesting reviews, and there were things about it that I liked and things about it that I didn't like. Charlie is the main character. She was dumb, because in my opinion, and I went into the book even like, why would you do this? If my best friend got murdered 2 months ago, there is no way I am getting in a car with a complete stranger for any amount of time. No way. I don't care if it's 1991 or 2001 or 2021, that's not happening. So right off the bat, I was like, why would she do that? Like, ooh. And then throughout the book, she just makes some really dumb decisions. Like, and I don't mean to like hate on a character, but some of the decisions that she made just made absolutely no sense. And it was frustrating because it's just like, as a young woman, I'm just like, why? Nobody, I feel like, I mean, I get it. There are dumb people out there that make dumb choices and do things like Charlie did, but it was just like, I just was having a really hard time believing some of the stuff that she was doing. And then there's a couple of twists in here that were a little bit predictable. The one was predictable. But then the other one, I also kind of struggled with like believing that it would actually happen. And so though it was entertaining, it was definitely a page turner. Like, I'm not a fast reader, and I'm usually not one to read like sit down and read a big chunk of a book in one sitting, but I read like 100 pages, the last 100 pages of this in one sitting, because I mean, it was good. It was a page turner, but like I said, in the end, the twists were good, but not entirely shocking, and the main character just made no sense to me. But it was fun, you know, it was fine. But it definitely is not Riley Sager's best book. For me, his best book is still Home Before Dark. I really enjoyed that one. So, like I said, I know a lot of people are not liking this book, and I can see why. But I think overall it was entertaining. It had its problems, but it was entertaining. I enjoyed it, and it was a 3-star read. All right, and then the last book that I read in August was Saga Volume 7. So I can't say a whole lot, ooh, floppy. I can't say a whole lot about this because it's the 7th volume, but it's still really good, you guys. It's really good. This one definitely had some sad moments for me, a couple of sad moments. And I have like no idea what's gonna happen. There are, I believe, 2 volumes left that are like in print right now. And I have no idea what's gonna happen, which is great, This whole series has been super entertaining, especially even though it's not something I typically read because I'm not a big sci-fi reader, but this is just doing it for me. I think maybe in the future, sci-fi graphic novels might be my thing because sci-fi novels I struggle with, but this story is really cool. It's about, in case you guys didn't know, it's about basically a star-crossed lovers. One is from one planet and one is from a moon. And they're not supposed to be together because they're like different species, but they fall in love and they have a baby, and so people are after them because they don't want them to be together. And so it's this just big journey around all these different like galaxies and planets, and there's all these different sorts of species and creatures, and it's great. It's got a lot of action, it's got a lot of humor, it's got a lot of heart. It's definitely a grown-up story. It can get kind of graphic sometimes. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and this was a 4-star read, and I cannot wait to read volume 8. All right, I think that's it, guys. That is everything that I read in the month of August. It was a pretty good reading month. Yeah, I'm really excited for September to start. I'm hoping that in September I have a little more free time to read because the kids are going back to school. So I'll have a little bit more me time every day than I've been having all summer. But yeah, let me know what you read in August because I would love to know what was your favorite book that you read. And yeah, that's all I have. So I hope you guys are having a wonderful week, and I will talk with you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.